So, Preston, let's think back to the beginning of the year, or even to last year. Did you know you had an IEP, or what an IEP was?
No.
No. So what's changed for you now that you know that you have an IEP, and now that you know what is on an IEP? How does that change things for you?
I can I can really go into my IEP meeting and tell them what I need.
Yeah. And what about goals? Does that help you to set goals for yourself? You had a lot of goals in your presentation.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know about having a goal, do you think you can reach it?
No.
No.
The first thing that we really need to do is we want to make sure that they understand what an IEP even is. So we review the vocabulary of what it means to have an IEP, who attends your meeting, what's the purpose of an IEP, what's the role of an IEP, what's part of it, what are the parts and components to it. We talk about related services, so we really talk about all of the different components to an IEP, and we just talk about that first. And then from there, we then break it down and talk about, okay, what's important to you? What are your goals? What are some of the things that you want? So we really spend a lot of time first making sure that they understand the vocabulary, then start working on pulling together some ideas and some goals.
I would like to learn how to make wedding cakes. I enjoy watching cooking shows.
Sounds like you've got some great goals. I remember when you told me that first time about wanting to do a cake decorating class. It's something I had never heard of before from you. And I was really pleased that you shared that with me.
Her grandmother did not know that. The transition specialist was able to take note of that and, incorporate that into her transition plan for next year. And so, we do learn a lot of little details that are not apparent just in kind of the everyday, school setting or even the home setting. I talk to Chanel all the time. I had no idea.
What we're hoping is that starting in middle school, by the time, as they get older, they will have heard everything so much and been practicing so much that they really will be self-advocates and be able to make decisions and have a say and a voice in their lives. We found that a lot of the students who don't start until later in high school, that they don't know that they have a disability, they don't know what it means to them, they can't talk about what helps them, they're used to people doing things for them, and they need to be able to speak for themselves.
It's important that they know their rights because I think a lot of students who have gone through the system in DC often feel jaded, and their rights have been kind of taken away from them, and I think that's really important.
We're letting parents know that upon the age of 18, the rights will automatically transfer to the student, and that's based on the IDEA. But we want to go beyond that and share with students not only about their rights that would transfer to them at age 18, but their rights as a student to receive a free and appropriate public education, and we call that a FAPE.
I have a student this year who's moving to Massachusetts, and we were sitting after school yesterday going through her IEP, and she asked me questions like, well, can't Massachusetts just tear this up? And I was like, no, this is a legal document, Kiana, and you have to say very clearly, in the beginning, I need extended time on my test, or I need to chart my reading on a log because that's what helps me remember it. And then by the end, she was like, so I'm going to find out who my manager is. And I was like, yes.
One of my kids was like, I have rights under IDEA. He was like, what does IDEA mean? And he was like, and one of my goals is I want to know what my rights are. Okay, awesome. But this document is a little complicated.
Let's talk about a need. What do you need to achieve that goal?
I would need extra time to read.
Yeah, extra time to read.
And to do extra time to finish my work.
Definitely. And you know what the nice thing is this is going to be your slide for your IEP meeting. So next year, if this gets put in your IEP, guess what? Does the teacher have to give you extra time?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. So when you have this in your IEP, and this is why it's so important for us to make this now, is that your teachers are required by law to provide you these things that you need. So it's pretty cool, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Next year in the middle school, we actually work on a bit more on accommodations. So figuring out what you need in the classroom to help you be successful. Do you guys have any ideas about some of the accommodations that you would need? What do you use in the classroom to be successful?
The computer to
okay.
take my work up. Like, I've been copying down, like, taking notes and everything for math. And when I have a test, I can always bring my math book to help me on some of the problems.
You especially want to make sure that you guys are advocating for yourselves, which means telling people what you need. How powerful is that for a teacher to hear from a student? I know what I need, and I know how you can help me.
What do you think you would do to share with others about knowing that you have an IEP?
I would tell them
Yeah.
about it.
Right.
Like, what is it? Like, what's on your IEP?
Yeah. And what kind of things are on there?
Like, your strengths, what you need, and what you don't need.
And your goals, probably?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, I think, personally empowering to see students begin to really internalize this, but want to explain it to others and want others to become self-advocates.
He started explaining his IEP and he started explaining what it meant to his siblings, and I'm listening in and I'm thinking, wow, he's exactly right. That's exactly what it means. And then I was thinking to myself, how much further we would be had I done this a couple of years ago.
Knowing what's on their IEPs, knowing that present level performance to say, my comprehension is here. It gives the students the power to say, I need something different.
As we begin to train students to be self-advocates, we also need to train their families and their parents about what it all means.
The information needs to be put in layman's terms so that people can actually understand and that they can understand what their child's needs are. What does it mean to have an occupational therapist? What does that mean? What does that mean to have hours inclusive in the classroom? What does it mean to be in general education? But I wish there was someone who, for the parents who are having difficulty coming to the schools, maybe somebody to reach out to them and say, hey, I know you're a little scared to come to this, but let me explain to you what this is about. It's really helped me to gain a better understanding of how vulnerable it is not to have that information. And now that he has the information, me and my husband can just sit back and kind of smile and say, okay. You know, so thumbs up to him. I'm really excited about it. Really excited.